Yes, finally some good news about Khamzat Chimaev's future. It looks like not only he, but also the UFC is looking to put the matchup between him and Kamaru Usman, and they're targeting it for October in Abu Dhabi, but the weight class is the only thing that seems to be up in the air. It's even the thing that Dana was saying, that they're still trying to get down. He doesn't like catch weights, so middleweight or welterweight seems to be the only divisions that they're willing to have this fight at. So Khamzat said that he's willing to fight in any division. It could be even at 205. 185, 170, no problem. He just wants to beat Usman, and by his words, smash him, finish him, and retire him so he can get that title shot, whether it's against Adesanya or Leon Edwards. He states that he doesn't care. Both guys are the same. He's looking to run through either of those champions. And Kamaru Usman has been saying that he wants to fight Khamzat Chimaev. Dana said that Kamaru was coming to the office. He wanted a fight so badly, specifically calling out Khamzat. And if the weight class is like the only thing that's really getting in the way, I think we're going to see this. I think the fight is honestly going to happen because I don't see either Usman or Khamzat having a problem picking between 185 and 170. Usman's always been talking about to go up to 185. In fact, he even talked about going up to 205 in the past. So we're probably going to see this fight, and it's going to be crazy. If you're a Khamzat fan, you are probably really happy because this is a time for Khamzat to beat someone like Kamaru Usman, as Usman looks like he's aging, he's slowing down, he's not performing as well as he used to in his prime, and this is the version of Usman that Khamzat can have a good performance against. Khamzat's also going to have the hometown advantage. He lives in Abu Dhabi, whereas Usman is going to have to travel from the United States, and a lot of people who have to travel those long distances for their fights, they do say that it does have somewhat of an effect on them. So even though it's not the biggest thing in the world, Khamzat also does have the lack of traveling advantage in this. He lives right there, he's used to the heat, he's not going to have jet lag, he doesn't have to worry about traveling and taking like half a day off. It's honestly a fight that's getting built up for Khamzat to win, the change of the guard. But I still think it would be a tough one, considering the fact that Usman still has good wrestling. He's still physically strong. He does have good straight punches. That jab and straight are the majority of the punches that he throws with his hands, and we know that Khamzat doesn't move his head too much. Khamzat also hasn't shown any lateral movement to angle his attacks. He punches, defends, and pressures forward in a straight line, which makes him extremely susceptible to Usman's potent jab and straight. The thing though is, Usman does drop his hands when he throws punches, so if Khamzat can pressure forward and draw out those straight punches, he can counter right behind them. So he will be on the line of sight of those powerful straight punches, but he does have a very good chin. He ate some of Gilbert Burns' biggest punches, and not only does Khamzat have the wrestling that can match up very well with Kamaru Usman, it's a different style of wrestling. He'll be clinging on to him for a long period of time, but he also had the submission threat at any opportunity, something that Usman completely lacks in his game. Khamzat seems to have faster hand speed, faster footwork, his takedowns are much faster as well. He has some of the fastest level changes I've ever seen. And considering Usman's previous injuries on his knees, and looking how he's kind of standing and shooting takedowns these days, it might actually be tough for Usman to consistently, throughout 5 rounds, wrestle with Khamzat Chimaev. The only thing is, does Khamzat have the 5-round cardio? Can he go 5 rounds at a pretty good pace? I think he's not going to go too crazy against Usman. He's not going to do what he did against Gilbert Burns. I think he's going to be a lot more composed and tighten his punches. Don't get too wild out there and get into a brawl or something. Make things clean and use his speed and changing levels from his boxing to his wrestling as an advantage over Kamaru Usman. It's going to be pretty difficult for either guy to get finished. They're both very tough. They have good chins. The only thing about Khamzat is if he doesn't have 5-round cardio, he could get finished later in the fight if he's not moving his head off the center line and he's just tired. Wailed on by Usman's punches. The big technique I see going for Khamzat honestly here though is the push kick, creating distance and constantly backing up Usman closer to the fence, where then Khamzat's wrestling is actually going to be effective against Usman. Nobody shoots on Usman against the fence, and Khamzat is going to be the first guy to do it because his pressure is crazy. It's so hard to stop him from moving forward on you. Usman does have that jab to try to keep Khamzat away, but what's longer than the jab are those push kicks, and Khamzat does throw those pretty often. And I don't think Usman wants to take Khamzat to the ground, considering the grappling difference between the two. Usman doesn't really have too much on the ground for Khamzat, besides when Khamzat starts to get tired. In a fresh fight, Khamzat's going to have the grappling advantage, most likely be able to out-scramble Kamaru Usman, not only because of Usman's bad knees, but the Sambo and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skill of Khamzat Chimaev is way superior than anything Usman has on the ground. So the things going for both guys, Khamzat has the speed and the level changes with the push kick so he can work on his pressure, and then Usman has the jab and straight and the cardio advantage. as Khamzat's walking him down on a straight line. And even though that's a simple advantage, it's like a single thing that Usman really has in this, it's honestly a very big advantage for Usman. It's something he could really work with here and create some major damage on Khamzat Chimaev. If Khamzat worked on head movement and or worked on his ability to not only fight on the straight line, but use angles and lateral movement, Usman's going to be in some trouble. Usman's going to have a very hard time with Khamzat. So if I were to make an early prediction here, I would honestly go with the youth. I would go with the younger guy who has a lot of confidence, who's very hungry, has a speed advantage over the older legend that's slowly declining, and the wear and tear on his body is taking effect on his performances. So I cannot wait for this fight. As the first fight being targeted on that UFC 294 card, this is a big step in the right direction. I hope that one's going to be stacked because we haven't been seeing too many stacked cards lately. It's been kind of a slow month or two in terms of stacking up a card. So we're going to have something really big in July, and hopefully we got something really big in October. November is probably where John Jones is going to fight, and December might be where Conor McGregor fights. So the potential of the fourth quarter looks really special, and I hope it lives up to it.